converting a certain anxiety it has about its real self being seen into a performance. You've got two options when you find out you're under surveillance, and only two. One is hide, and the other is perform. We've picked perform.
Wow. Usually what happens after I do interviews like this, I walk out, and the younger people who are listening to the conversation kind of cross their eyes at me and are like, you kind of just don't get it because you didn't grow up with this. You don't know what it's like to not have a line dividing your private and public persona. These things are merged in a way that you just can't yet.
Well, first of all, every generation is entitled to its own experience. And one that grew up, with armed militia in the streets might turn to the older people who were there before that and say, what's the big deal? People with guns, I don't care. But I did meet, in the course of my reporting this story, a young man. I was sitting in a hot tub with him, frankly, after having gone to this data center. And I told him what I'd done. He was an 18-year-old kid. He said, they're never going to find out anything about people by tracking them. We should just have big centers where people go and talk about their lives and sort of voluntarily give up, any information that the government or whatever might be interested in. And, it was a very odd thing for him to say, but it had a sort of genius to it, and it speaks to our point just now about Facebook. For those who wonder why we should be concerned about privacy, they also have given up on the thought that there is a hidden interior life, that it can be defended at all, or that it's worth defending. Now, my generation thinks there is one. My generation thinks that if you have nothing to hide, then you have nothing going on, frankly.
And I would argue that privacy is going somewhere and thinking a thought that is deeply, potentially, not acceptable in society. But it's okay. It's just a thought, and it's only in your mind, and you can have that thought because that's what solitude is.
Hey, half the thoughts we have would be deeply unacceptable to the person sitting next to us, or the mate sleeping in the same bed with us, or the boss across the office from us. Having an interior life means thinking things that you don't want to say aloud. Otherwise, you'd just be babbling on all the time. The other thing is this. Once people take as a given that all of their secrets would be ferreted out, or that having secrets is something to be guilty about in itself, they start to become kind of robotic. And my fear is that as we stop defending this interior space, we'll start to do things and think things and censor our very inner life in a way that doesn't cause us any anxiety. And the real cost of surveillance is that our inner lives become impoverished, that the set of moves that we make as thinkers and emotional beings and so on becomes reduced. In that way, we start to become the machines that we're afraid are invading our lives. We can't beat them, so we join them.
So last question. Have you changed any of your behavior so that you have less walnut moments? Or would you tell our listeners who maybe were singing a song to their dog and then found that Spotify played them that exact song when they got in the car?
I got off Facebook.